Today's good question comes from a parent who wants to know when is the right time for their child to finally put away their costumes.
For today's good question, Amy asks, what is the age limit for trick-or-treating? I have a 17-year-old who's adamant about going. Well, there is no national or statewide law regarding an age limit for trick-or-treating, but some places do have ordinances. For example, in Hazard, the practice of trick-or-treating on Halloween night shall be limited to children below the age of 16. And in Munfordville, Kentucky, the observance of trick-or-treating on Halloween shall be restricted to persons 12 years of age or younger. In Virginia, the ACLU spoke out against similar ordinances, saying they may violate the Constitution. Now, Lexington does have an ordinance against people wearing masks in public, except for people under 12 on Halloween. Well, really, it comes down to each child and each family. The answer to a similar question on emilypost.com, which specializes in etiquette, says, after all, Halloween is an occasion for teens to enjoy, just as younger kids do. For many teens, it is one of the last vestiges of childhood they can still participate in. So, if you're comfortable with it, let that 17-year-old ask for some candy, because adulthood will be here before you know it. If you have a good question, you can email goodquestion@wkyt.com. I'll see you on WKYT Mornings.